Alright, how you doing? It's a nervous rattle. If I was in the podcast right now, I'd be like tap, 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 tap. Just hear the microphone stand rocking backwards and forwards. I heard that on the podcast audio yesterday. I was like, oh, God, stop it. We've done it right now. I was like, tap, 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 stop shaking. I've had a lazy day. You know what's really derpy? Right, because I did everything yesterday on the podcast setup, meaning, it was just lit, web camera, microphone, audio was, preset, gain, compressed, all that, ready to go. Literally, I walked into the house from the garage where I did the podcast. I top and tailed the podcast, teeny bit of clean, added in the intro, compressed it to WAV, compressed it to MP3, or exported it to WAV, compressed it to MP3, sent it to RAM, sent RAM a note to say that the podcast was a nightmare, because I think I really balked it up because I was just waffling for however long the podcast was. Then did the vlog, just literally just bam, vlog, cut, ran Nerds intro, put the bit in, export it. Every single thing was ready to go like today, because normally I burn all of Sunday after a podcast, either doing the podcast and waffling around doing other stuff. But I'd already done it. I did it yesterday, last night, within 30 minutes of doing everything else, roughly. Just came inside, got everything done. Then today was going to be just like a loaf waffle day. And it was a loaf waffle day, but even though I'd got everything done in advance, I still managed to get everything late. Maybe it was because I got the podcast done on time, everything else was beyond fashionably late. I was like, well, what did you do today, Skaz? You must have spent that day with your wife, right? No! Of course I didn't. My wife's been doing other stuff. Had a really rough night last night. I barely slept a wink, woke up feeling like the dead. Inky, bless her, managed to sleep like a rock. Good job, Inky, one of us has to sleep. She's getting my beauty sleep. Took the dog out, and then when we come home, Inky started working on her arts and crafts, artsy-fartsy projects. One of them involves a Bible that she found. Don't ask. It's yeah. Then she ended up speaking to folks. She's been talking to folks all day, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna live stream because I've been having a few technical problems today. I've been trying to figure out why is it Flint 4KP, the new capture card we got for Linux. I've been trying to figure out why or how bad the limited color space is. So when you're working with HDMI, you've either got full range or limited. Most of the time when you're hooked up to a TV set, you're in limited. But the Flint is really dark. Like, you lose entire gradients on the Flint when you're in limited. And I mentioned this back when I first got it, that because the TV set was so dark, I didn't even realise that it was doing it. Right? Because to me, it was exactly the same as what was on my television set. But for other folks, they might have noticed that certain bit, like, it was just really dark. It wasn't horribly dark, but there was no way to adjust it to bring it up in line with other cards that I had. So you'd be able to tell which card I was using, which capture card I was using, based on the colour range and loss of gradients. Majority of the colours were there. It was just like right in the lower ends you were clipping off some of the blacks. But if you set it to full range, it seems pretty reasonable. As close as the other cards. So I tried putting it on Windows, because Windows has got software for it. I didn't bother downloading the software, but I wanted to see, is it the Linux driver that's doing it? No, this is equally as dark on Windows. Tried connecting up the Elgato HD60S, Game Capture HD60S, whatever it is, the HD60S. And that one is actually almost as black as limited mode on the on the Flint 4KP, but the difference being that the Elgato you have a brightness adjustment. On my other capture cards, on Linux, you have a brightness adjustment, but not on the Flint. It doesn't actually give you any brightness control at all on Linux. Or on Windows without the software. I haven't actually looked at its actual software, so I don't know if you do have a brightness adjustment, but yeah, it works, it's still good. I was just like, that's really dark. But then most people have their TV set too dark or too bright anyway. If you've got your TV set to dynamic, please, stop it. It's bad. Really bad. So I've done a bit of tweaking, and considering I am kind of bad, my eyes are pretty bad these days. I've done a reasonable job getting things leveled out. I even called the wall for a bit to say, like, dude, you said how one of your TVs was really dark, and you've got two TVs, one with a decent range of brightness, and the other one's kind of old like mine. Have you had to adjust your brightness to show the gradient on this random game? On Gallery Mark of the Wolves, the left-hand side has a from the top right to the bottom left, and the game is in the middle in a square. On either side, there's kind of like a slice where the curved, like this crescent gradient comes in. And say, do you still see the gradient on the left? And he had to tweak some settings on his game because he plays in widescreen. He's like, oh yeah, I see it. Because on our TV, nearly every setting is too dark by default to actually see that gradient. Nearly all of them. But the ones upstairs aren't. So, calibrate your TV sets. It's because I've reset everything to default. Anyways, I played Daemon X Machina for like 3.5 hours. The story's picking up. I still have no fucking idea what's going on, but it's fun. It's Armored Core with anime spins on it. We had people coming into the stream asking questions about it, kind of like what we did with Astral Chain. It was neat. I recommended people pull down the demo. People asked if I wanted to play multiplayer with them. I said I just wanted to do the story for now. It's been compared now to like Armored Core with Monster Hunter kind of aspects, where you take down enemy suits and you steal things from them, kind of like what you do in Monster Hunter. You kill the monster, you carve, you get random parts to be able to build a bigger, better, whatever. It is fun. It is fun. I think, typical Marvelous Inc. gameplay, the AI is thick as two short planks a lot of the time. I do next to no damage in my suit, but you can kind of trick the enemy into like just running into a wall. Sometimes like they'll try and circle strafe, but they're strafing close to you and then around and away, and you can kind of get them to kind of hide in areas that they can't leave because the level has a boundary to it, and if you go outside, the opponent loses. I actually remember Armored Core had something like that in it, and I won a fight in Armored Core by kind of tricking the enemy AI into leaving the zone for just long enough to become disqualified. I was like, yes! I had no chance of beating you normally, but it's almost like Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. A couple of people who watched the stream have actually commented, this is very much like Marvelous Senran Kagura's Peach Beach Splash, where... Is it Marvelous to do Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash? It's kind of like that, just like really derpy AI, pretty quick, but it's fun. It is fun. So like I said, the story's really derpy, but I played that for a bit. After that, I calmed down and I said, Rinky, we really need to sort out Charles, because he's having a bit of a problem, and I've been saying to Mum and Inky for a while that we need to get him to the vets to get his teeth cleaned, because he's got a really bad canine. And Mum pops around and says, yeah, why don't we see if we can just get him an appointment like today or tomorrow? And Inky's like, hey, I've managed to get him an appointment today. Mum and Inky take the dog to the vet, and that was it. I was streaming whilst they went to the vet. And yeah, he's going to have to go in on the Tuesday. My poor wee baby's going to have to go in on the Tuesday, and he's an expensive goddamn dog to keep. It's not going to be a cheap job. To clean his teeth, do his ears and clip his nails is going to be about 200 odd quid. But he's my baby. He's worth it. Look, look, look. Here's my baby. Look, hey, stop talking about me, prick. Hello, BB. You're not going to like me on Tuesday, are you? Huh? Because I wouldn't do anything for you right now. I just gave you a wee check. But that is pretty much the most eventful thing to happen today. Other than taking him out for walks, I did hang out with Inky a little bit this evening, so she could try and catch up on some animes. We had a romantic meal for two. And I've just picked up a not new baby, which you'll see soon, maybe. I was looking for some cheap and nasty bits, and they were relatively cheap, way cheaper than they'd have been if I'd bought them brand new. And I wouldn't exactly say they're nasty either, but they could do with a bit of clean up. I'm super excited, even if it's just a bit of noodling. It's my day. I've done nothing. I've played Daemon X Machina, hang out with the wife a little bit. She's done arts and crafts, and we've watched cartoons and eat. So, yeah. Look! That's what my wife's been noodling with.
I've been noodling with a book I found.
Yeah,
We're not mentioning what kind of book it is.
They know what it is. She's arts and craft in the Bible. So,
She's
yeah.
arts and craft in the Bible. I'm redoing the book of Judas.
No, I don't think there was a.
I'm portraying the Lord God by
Look.
making it colourful.
You're hanging.
I'm hanging a man in my book, not onto a cross, onto a tree.
As you do, for some silver coins.
For some silver coins. No, I'm just putting I'm doing it for free. I've got the book for free.
Bless her.
Thank you, Gideons.
Well, I got distracted, made the wife a cup of tea. I'm gonna go and have a shower. Let you lot go whilst I daydream about my new baby. It's coming soon. No one's gonna be impressed. I'm gonna like it. You ain't. See ya.